This is a Glendale Library Arts and Culture program created for and featuring teens, edited and hosted by the Teen Library staff.
Hey everyone, this is Melissa
and Desiree.
Welcome to our guest episode of G.E.N Talks.
Today's guest was born and raised in Melbourne, Australia. During his teen years, he dreamt of becoming an actor, but things took a different turn in his life. And through a journey of self-discovery that included working various kinds of jobs and finding love, our guest today was able to discover his love for librarianship, and in 2019 he made his way over to Glendale and is now the Teen Services Librarian at the Glendale Central Library. So let's welcome our guest today, Michael Whitehead.
Hey guys.
Wait. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much, Mike, for taking your time out of your day to talk with us. We have a lot to discuss, so let's get into it.
Yes, we do have a lot to discuss. So as we mentioned before, you had a dream of becoming an actor, and we kind of want to touch on that. So if you could tell us how you got into acting or wanting to pursue it. Yeah.
Sure. So it started when I was in a play in high school. I would have been like 16, I think. And I did quite well in it. I was, what was it? What was the play? It was a three-penny opera. And I played a cop, I think. Can't even remember exactly, but it was a comical role and I enjoyed it. And the audience did. And, you know, I thought I was onto something because at that time I had no idea what I wanted to do after high school. So that got me excited, gave me kind of some direction. And then I made the mistake of putting in acting colleges as my destinations of choice after high school. And and I went to kind of like a audition for acting college, and it didn't go very well. And I realized then that no, acting's not for me. I can't really act. I wasn't very convincing, and I was just put off. And I thought, no, I think I'm destined for something else. So, yeah.
How was that? Because you applied, right? So how was that experience? Was it in front of a lot of people? How many judges, or like?
It wasn't in front of a lot of people. It would have been 3 or 4 judges, I think, and they asked me to do a monologue from scratch, and I can't even remember what I said. I was just mumbling and struggling to get through it, and then they asked me to do some improv,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to be a cake. They said be a cake, and that was an interesting experience for everybody involved. I don't know what to do.
Right.
How does one be a cake?
Yeah, that's hard.
So then, I don't know. I tried to be a bowl at first, and I tried to I tried to be a wooden spoon to stir the ingredients in the bowl. And I'm sure they had no idea what I was doing. The judges, I didn't know what I was doing, and that miserable experience. Well, I felt like it went for a whole day, but I think it was only a couple of hours. And afterwards, my mum picked me up, and I just said, "Nope, it's not happening here." And so I had to go back to the drawing board to decide what I wanted to do. I don't know, perhaps I gave up too early, but I kind of knew then that I'm not feeling this. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
What were like some of your other, I guess, like what other things were you exploring? What other jobs were you?
Oh, it wasn't really. I kind of threw all my hopes into one basket. So I was on the back foot when I was around 18, 19. I didn't really have any other options. I put psychology down as a potential course or career in that list. The first 3 were acting related, and there was psychology way on the bottom. But I didn't end up pursuing that. I just kind of drifted for a
Mhm.
time after high school. I got a job working in a supermarket in the perishables department. So I was with like milk and ice cream and everything frozen or refrigerated. That was my domain. And I tried carpentry at one point. I worked at a butcher. I worked at a hotel. A few different jobs until I came upon working at a library school for like in our equivalent of community college, which is called TAFE. And that was 10 years ago now that I started that. So that when I discovered that, that finally gave me a sense of direction, because I really was drifting for 2 or 3 years after high school.
And how did you discover like librarianship exactly? Like what kind of motive or like what captured your attention to like go to that college? And
My aunt was a librarian. So I heard stories from her and how much she liked her job, and she's very good at what she did. So that got me thinking, okay, what would suit my personality, and what can I see myself doing over the long term? So she kind of inspired me to look into that, and then I researched courses nearby, and I found one, and yeah, I just went for it at that point.
What was like your favorite course that you took, to become a librarian?
I quite like cataloging,
Cataloging?
actually. Yeah. Yeah, that was the main thing for me. I'm not the most detail-oriented person in general, but when it comes to certain things, I can be very much so. So um, that appealed to me, like the kind of the back end kind of things and working out um, uh, those sort of details appealed to me, and it still does. Yeah, I didn't really know. I just realized I wanted to be in the librarian field, but beyond that, I wasn't sure. I was still kind of figuring it out.
And going back to you working various jobs, was there one that you really didn't like, or was there one that you actually really liked that you maybe like possibly was like, oh, like I could see myself doing that for
Um,
the long run, or
the one I definitely didn't see myself getting into was as a butcher, working in a butcher. Um, yeah, that wasn't the best experience. Or a hotel. I didn't like. That was my first job, full time. I worked full time, and it was my first job when I was 19. Awful experience. Didn't like it. But carpentry, I feel like if I'd stuck with that, I probably would have done okay. I didn't mind that so much. Most of the part-time jobs I took, I wouldn't want to do long term.
but did like those jobs, teach you anything? Did you learn
Oh,
more
sure.
about yourself?
hmm I kind of learned a bit of resilience, I think, doing those jobs, which I didn't like. Dealing with people, the general public. I've been abused,
Mm-hmm.
like called names and stuff, working as a hotel porter. So that kind of instilled in me, I don't know, a strength maybe of putting up with nasty people.
Yeah.
Because when you're exposed to it, you kind of get better at dealing with it. And if I hadn't put myself in those situations to be uncomfortable, then I would have kept trying to avoid them. So I'm glad I tried a few different things to find out what I didn't like, what I liked, and the challenges that came with um, being put in difficult situations when it comes to the general public sometimes. And it's helped me as a librarian, those formative experiences, I think.
And I know a lot of teens kind of are going through that similar thing of like not knowing what they want to do, or they feel stuck. Because I know for me, like I kind of felt that way too when I was like, about to graduate. It's like, what major do I want to do? Like, am I choosing the right path? Whatever. What's a piece of advice that maybe somebody gave to you, or that you could give to somebody that's like in that situation, trying to figure out themselves and like what they want to do? Do you suggest kind of maybe taking up different jobs, or just any advice?
Some great advice would be that I've just learned from experience is it's okay to feel uncomfortable and uncertain. because I spent most of my teenage years feeling that way, just in general. And the thought of failing my SATs or the equivalent that we have over there, and feeling trapped and not having options, was an awful feeling. So I'd say just be patient, and it's okay to feel like things are going badly, because things will get better if you allow them to, if you just give it a chance. I felt the most pressure towards the end of high school, because they put so much pressure on kids to get such high scores, and if you don't, if you're ever feeling, oh, okay, what options do I have? Like, what's going to happen to me? And I went through all of that, but I'm glad that I was able to kind of figure out what I wanted to do after. I feel lucky that way, where I was able to drift. And I'm sure not a lot of parents would want their kids to do that. I'll go through what I experienced. But I'm glad it happened to me, because I'm sure a lot of teens don't know what they want to do. So just feeling okay when it's not all figured out at that age is quite all right. It's okay.
Especially because I think a lot of people forget that they're so young, and they still have have time. I still have to remind myself that I have time, because I'm like, I'm 21 and I still have time, but it's just, it's like you forget, but I'm glad, you had that support, and also you were able to find, what you are passionate about. Going back to, librarianship and all of that stuff. Let's talk about your journey coming to America. And how did that happen?
So when I started the librarian course in 2010, that's when I met my wife, around the same time. And she's American. So she was only in the country for another 6 weeks. She was visiting, just on holiday. And we met, and we really liked each other. And so we did the long distance thing for 5 years. After the 6 weeks had passed initially, she had to go back to America to do a go to grad school. And so we kept in touch, and then I went over to America 8 months later. And then we kept going back and forth for 5 years, 2 months here, 2 months there, 6 months here. And then eventually we made the decision for me to come here, to live permanently. And that was in 2015. And throughout that time, I was able to study online from Australia to complete my education. In 2015, I arrived. I volunteered at LA Valley College, a community college near Sherman Oaks. Then I got a job in Simi Valley Public Library as a library assistant. I was there for a year as a library assistant. Then I got promoted to librarian, teen services. As soon as I got my master's, I was promoted. I was lucky. That doesn't usually happen. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting to be a teen librarian. When an opportunity came up, I thought, what a great chance here to get some experience. And yeah, it just kind of fell that way.
So let's go back to Australia, because I'm sure a lot of teens want to know, what it's like to live in Australia. What kind of foods do you miss about Australia?
So Australia, I grew up in Melbourne, which is very south of the country. It's very temperate conditions. You get seasons, and it's very sports dominated. A lot of Australians love their sport. I'm included. I love my sport too. And food-wise, you get a lot of lamb. I grew up on lamb, a lot of beef, all kinds of meat, everything. And yeah, a lot of Americans are afraid to go to Australia because of the animals, and they think that they'll kill you the first chance they get. You step outside the airport, then you'll be punched in the face by kangaroo or something, or bitten by a spider, instant death. It's not like that. No, you have to be pretty unlucky to be bitten by a deadly spider or a snake in Australia. They are there, but it's not as dangerous as it seems from looking in outside the country.
What's your favorite like sports team?
I love cricket. Have you guys heard of
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very popular summer game in Australia. Aussie rules football. Have you guys heard of that?
Barely. Like
Is that? I don't know.
No, it's like it's the Australian version of American football.
Oh, okay.
It's a different game entirely, though. Like you do have to kick a ball between two sticks, but that's where the similarity ends. I like soccer. Those three sports I grew up on. I didn't really pay attention to sport until I was 11. Before that, I had no interest at all.
When you first visited like America, did you experience any like, I guess maybe culture shock, or if you could talk about that?
Yeah, it took me a while. Well, because I'd visited America over the last 10 years fairly frequently. When I finally came to move here permanently, it wasn't such a shock. But it did take a little time to feel comfortable, being away from family and friends. And I kind of had to start a new social support network through my wife's friends, and then I had to do it on my own to kind of meet people. And that's difficult as an adult. I found making new friends. It's at school, that's when you make your really good friends generally, or through work. But yeah, that was difficult doing that, and feeling some homesickness for sure. I experienced a fair bit of that the first 5 years. It's only gotten better now. I feel pretty good, really good. But yeah, it was challenging for sure.
Do you is there something that you miss about Australia that you wish was in the States or US, whatever you want?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, I miss going to bars and watching the sport on the TV, and just like having mates, going to the bar with mates, with friends, and enjoying having that experience. It's kind of missing here. You can go, but it's all American sports, and I don't like American sports very much. Yeah, it's a different climate. I miss kind of my hometown's climate and the geography. A lot of lush spaces in Melbourne, but it rains a lot of green areas and lots of trees and parks everywhere. Yeah, it's a bit different that way. I miss that, but there's more desert conditions here in Southern California.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Wait, this is random and probably like really off topic, but do you like Vegemite?
Love it.
Okay.
Yes.
Just had to ask. Did you enjoy this episode? If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Glendale Library Arts and Culture channel.
Tune in every Friday at 4:30 for Teen Gen Talks. And if you would like to contact us and be part of the Teen Gen Talks, please email us at teengentalks@glendaleca.gov. Thank you. See you next episode.
Bye.
Bye.